As we approach the release of the newest installations of the Pokémon series, Scarlet and Violet, we're gradually being fed more information about the games, but despite that, a lot is still a mystery to us. The obvious things are that there's a theme of past and future, or possibly tradition and advancement. This is evidenced by the box legendaries of the region, Koraidon and Miraidon, being clear representations of those concepts, as well as the professors demonstrating the same. But plot-wise, that's about it. We haven't really been given much in terms of the game's story themes, or what the big bad of the region actually is. We know the Team Star exists, but I think they're more likely to play a role akin to Team Skull and Team Yell, being secondary antagonists, with the true villain revealed later on. What I do think is that they serve as an indication of something larger. What tipped me off to this whole thing, believe it or not, was the Ed Sheeran song that was announced to be in the game earlier this week. My personal opinions about putting actual pop songs in the game aside, for the past few days I've been trying to figure out what the song has to do with Pokemon, or even these games in particular, and I think I found it. It's the title, Celestial. Whether a main theme or a secondary plot point, this game will reference space in some way. Let's take it back to Team Star for a minute. Stars are celestial bodies, objects floating in the vast expanse of space. And while at first, it might just appear that Star was used as the name because it's flashy and often used in the Bosozoku culture that Team Star seems to emulate with their big obnoxious cars, I think there's a deeper thematic connection to space in these games than people realize, especially given the fact that Spain was the first place astronomy was taught in schools, and with a school being the focal point of these games, this is worth exploring further. So let's talk about the school's delinquents who make up the quote-unquote evil team. The name of the fire team,
Skater.
Skater, is the very same as the name of one of the stars in the Cassiopeia constellation. Skater is an orange giant star, a color fitting for the fire-type gang, and also the brightest star in the constellation, possibly referenced by the line, "We burn too bright to look at directly," said by a fire squad grunt in one of the trailers. But this isn't where the connection to the constellation ends. While the 5 points on the star seem to indicate that there will be 5 squads of Team Star, so does Cassiopeia in its W shape. This is important because if you look at the map indicators of where Team Star's bases are, they don't form a star shape, they form a W, the same shape as Cassiopeia. They're even color-coded, showing us a yellow, black, purple, and pink map icon in addition to the orange for Skater Squad. I'm gonna butcher some pronunciations here, but if my prediction is correct and there is a connection, the other 4 teams' names will be Calf Squad, Navi Squad, Rukba Squad, and Segan Squad. The real-life stars' colors don't line up with the map indicator colors, the rest in the constellation being white and blue stars, but they likely point to the signature Pokemon types of those squads: Electric, Ghost or Dark, Poison or Psychic, and then Fairy. When it comes to these squads' actual names and typings, we'll just have to wait and see, but what we can explore is the concepts of space referenced elsewhere in these games. The next thing I want to look at are the game's titles and box legends. While we've established that they're references to past and future, I think the concepts of astronomy fit here too. You may have heard of redshift and blueshift in school. If a star is traveling towards us, its light will appear bluish, and if it's traveling away, the light will be reddish. As time marches on, the past gets further from us, more distant, making a good match for Koraidon and Scarlet. The same can be said for Violet and Miraidon, with the future becoming closer every moment. Now let's talk about another pair that references the concepts of past and future, Sada and Turo, the region's unreasonably hot professors. Up until now, every professor's name in Pokemon has referenced a plant, without fail, and yet these two are the first to break that pattern. This is also the first time we've had different professors in each game, unless they're not actually the professors. What wouldn't be a first would be having games with different main antagonists with opposing ideals, with the box legendaries being representative of those concepts. It's entirely possible that the two so-called professors are actually the big bad, working towards a return to tradition and pursuing technological advancement respectively. This would pit their ideals directly against each other, making for a potentially interesting plot, where in one game, the opposing professor is seen as the villain, and you, the player, are being used by your professor to further their goals while having their true role misrepresented to you. Well, if that's the case, then who is the real professor? The answer's kinda right in front of us. He's the director of the school in both games, Clavel. His bio on the official Pokémon website also hints at an ambiguous relationship with the region's alleged professors. He seems to be a friend of them? Kind of a vague way to word that compared to the certainty of the statements made about all of the other characters on the website. By now you're probably wondering, but what plant is his name? Well, it's pretty straightforward actually. Clavel, when you remove one of the L's, is clavel, the Spanish word for carnation, a plant native to Spain, the area Paldea is in part based on. So with Clavel as the true professor and Turo and Sada as potential bad guys, maybe even using Team Star as henchmen, we venture into a new generation of Pokemon that possibly continues the formula we've seen in the past 2 generations of a twist villain, and maybe even a return to the opposing villains theme we saw in Ruby and Sapphire. Do you think this theory holds any truth? We won't know for sure until Pokemon Scarlet and Violet release worldwide on November 18th. Until then, what are some of your theories? Sound off in the comments and let me know if you think I missed something. And if you liked this video, it would mean a lot to me if you liked and subscribed to let me know that you want to see more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching. I've been Haunted, and you've been lovely. Bye!